Welcome back to this video session on personal statements. As promised, we're going to start with a sample first paragraph. This was my college essay. "Daddy's home," I shouted as I saw my father's beat-up old yellow rabbit pull into the driveway. My younger brother and I rushed up the stairs and waited. As Dad came to the door, we ran halfway down and jumped the rest of the way into his arms. Greg went first, and then it was my turn. Every evening, I gave my dad a big hug, stole his floppy brown hat, and as I peered out from under it, asked, "Did you put any bad guys in jail today?" Most of the time the answer was, "No, honey, just a lot of paperwork today." But every so often, I got a yes. This is a personal anecdote. You absolutely can picture the scene in your head. Two little kids staring out the front window, waiting for their dad's old beat-up car to come into the driveway. Same time every day. They run up the stairs to greet him, and the little girl asks the same question every day. So where does this essay go? This is my sample outline. Paragraph 2. Dad was a criminal prosecutor. I followed his cases with interest, including some cases against the mafia. Paragraph 3. I helped stand up the youth court in my own county. This is the past accomplishments paragraph. Paragraph 4. I want to major in government, research organized crime, and eventually become a federal prosecutor focusing on national security. Okay, so that was more than 5 words, but you get the idea. In paragraph 5, why would Georgetown have been perfect for me? I did already mention I went to Georgetown. So let's now go from here. We show you how you move from the anecdote into sort of the transition paragraph. The transition paragraph was, okay, so my father's a criminal prosecutor, and the true past, like the far, far past part was, even as a little kid, I followed his career with interest. My interest grew from, did you put any bad guys in jail today, to reading about his cases in the newspaper, to the next paragraph where I helped set up the youth court in my county. See sort of a snowballing effect, a natural growth in terms of my interest. You get to paragraph 4, and now we start talking about who I am and want to be. I want to study government. That's, near future. Further future, career-wise, I want to be a federal criminal prosecutor. And then that last paragraph is, as always, why Georgetown was going to be a perfect school for me for this purpose. So let's take a look at that last paragraph. 15 years after I started asking about my dad's cases, I find myself about to embark on an adventure into higher education. I am confident that Georgetown is the perfect place for me to start. I want to major in government and minor in Italian, as well as study abroad and intern in a federal government agency. Georgetown would allow me to do all of this and would add an international focus and superb faculty capable of increasing my exposure to today's most pressing issues and compelling problems. I know I have a long way to go to mature into the kind of public servant I want to be, but I am excited to begin and hope to do so at Georgetown. Now, I could have written, and I hope to do so at the Hilltop. That probably would have been a little bit better in terms of giving that extra in terms of research and knowing about my school. But let me point out a few subtle things that are sort of lurking in here. First and foremost, I didn't go pounding the reader over the head with why Georgetown, things that they get. A lot of your readers are alums of this school, or they work for the school. They get it. They know their school. So I didn't have to go explaining to them that interning in federal agencies probably would only happen easiest if I was in Washington, D.C. And because Georgetown is in Washington, D.C., well, that makes it a lot easier to intern in a federal agency. Okay, that isn't concise, and it insults the reader's intelligence. Didn't have to go there. But what I did write made perfect sense to anyone who was reading it. I talked about the international focus of the school. I didn't say, Georgetown has an international focus. No, I just mentioned that the school's international focus, taking it for granted, as anyone who works there, well, frankly, would. I moved about, clearly, when you're going to talk about majors and minors, make sure those things are available at that school. In my case, for example, government is not a common major. It's usually political science, but at Georgetown it was called government. So if I had written an essay that I used at another school who's got a poli-sci major and then recycled it as such at Georgetown, it would have showed that I wasn't paying attention. If I had written, I want to major in political science, The reader's going to say, well, that's nice, but that's not exactly what we do here. On the flip side, Georgetown has an Italian minor. Heck, you can do an Italian major. A lot of schools aren't going to have that. So make sure that you clean up those sorts of details. Those are really easy things to get right and really serious things to get wrong. Speaking of getting things wrong, why do personal statements flop? First and foremost, some of them are just too safe, which makes them boring. Second is they're not about you. Again, this is a personal statement. It is about you. Sometimes it's because it exposes something it shouldn't. This is that idea of the overshare. Don't talk about things that are negative if you don't have to, particularly things that might cause a reader to wonder if you're really over something. The next one is Superman, Batman, Spider-Man, and Captain America. You are not all of those people. You are not one of those people. You are probably not one of those people. Now, if you played one on TV, that's fantastic, and that really should be your essay. Side note, an awesome grad school essay I once saw started with how I went from interning at the White House to Cinderella's castle. It's fabulous. Anyway, you are not the world's most awesome person. So don't try to come across as that in your personal statement. A little humility goes a long way. Personal statements also fail because they ramble. They go on and on and on about something and needed to change paragraphs or change ideas stat. Keep it clean, keep it concise, get to the point, and move on. This is where outlining helps quite a bit. And again, boring. It is the kiss of death. Do not be boring. Whatever you do, do not be boring. And the last thing we were going to talk about in this module was what to put with a personal statement. So presuming you have to submit more than one essay in a given college application, and one of them is a personal statement, what do you make the other one? Well, if you do have to submit another essay or a short answer, keep the personal statement as the heavy hitter. It just is. The personal statement is always the heavy hitter. Whether you're writing it for college, for grad school, for scholarship applications, fellowships, you name it, the personal statement is the big piece. So make the second one less big, less heavy. Make it more interesting, more fun. Try to write about something completely different. So in most cases, you're going to write about your academic and career interests in your personal statement. It's just how it goes, because that's naturally how you make the case about why you want to go to a particular school. Make the second piece of writing about something else. Say art, history, sports, one of your extracurriculars, a trip you took sometime that had a big impact on your personal intellectual development, but not related to your academic or career interests. Try to make that second piece the creative one, the fun one, the one that sort of shows the sparkle in your eye and your other personality. We'll talk about some of the specialized prompts in another module, but that sometimes can be some spark for that other piece. Well, we know this is a lot, and we know personal statements are not exactly the world's most fun things to write, so we wish you the best of luck and tell you to get to it. And keep with us at www.alphaacademia.com and stick with this course on Ivy caliber essays. We promise we'll get you to the finish line. Good luck.